the driver and the narrator today.
You can film out here too.
Yeah. Not right now. It's a lot funnier to watch you squirm down.
Come on, Barney. Go pay attention. Come on, kids. We're going to take you back about 130 years when Tombstone was an old mining town. Welcome to Tombstone. Welcome to the old Butterfield Estate. The two mules doing all the work for us today is Barney and Katie. Barney's to my right, Katie's to my left. The Butterfield Estate was established in 1858 by a fellow named John Butterfield from Ithaca, New York. He wanted to government contract carry the mail from St. Louis to San Francisco. However, the stage line was hampered with outlaws and Indians through its whole existence. Sometimes, if a coach didn't reach its destination, it was never seen or heard from again. Especially if Coach East was in the area. He was actually the biggest enemy of the old Butterfield Estate. It took 24 days and 24 nights to get to San Francisco. The fare was $200. All you could take with you was one canteen of water, one blanket, one suitcase, and whatever you was wearing at the time. The coach actually ran 24/7. There was a relay station every 18 to 25 miles. They'd stop, change the team, and go on to the next relay station. It only took 15 to 20 minutes to change a team, and that's all the time you had to get a quick bite to eat, do your personal business, right back on the coach you went. The part of town we're entering right now in 1881 was called Chinatown. If you look out to my left on the corner there, you're going to see the Four Deuces Saloon. It's a pretty neat old saloon. To get down to the corner here, I should say, we get out a little further behind the saloon there, you'll see it. To my left again, you'll see a reddish-colored house with black trim. That house belonged to China Mary. She was in charge of all the opium dens and bordellos right here in Chinatown. She collected the money. The cowboys are in town. They visited here quite frequently. Look out right now to my left, you'll see that reddish-colored house with the black trim. That's the original house where China Mary lived. When she died, she was a very wealthy woman. Today, she's buried over at Boot Hill Cemetery. To my right, you'll see the RV park. To my left, you'll see the American Legion. That's where your opium dens and bordellos were right here in Chinatown in 1881. There was over 500 Chinese in the area at the time. Some lived right here in Chinatown, and some lived down at a place called China Camp out in the Dragoons. They were never given much credit for all the work they did here in the silver mines and on the railroads. We get down here to the corner, it's going to be South 2nd Street. We get out to the middle of the intersection. If you look out to my right, all in the mountains out there, you'll see Sheep's Head Mountain. That was Coach East's stronghold. Coach East, he had a band of about 27 Braves. When he died, his buddies buried him out there. He's still buried out there today. In a couple of moments, I'll point it right out to you. Come on, kid. Look out to my right, all in the mountains out there. You'll see Sheep's Head Mountain. That's about 16 miles from here. Right there's where Coach East is buried. One of those Braves in his band was called Geronimo. Geronimo, he evaded the U.S. cavalry for over 10 years. He was never actually captured by the government. He surrendered in 1886. After he surrendered, the government put him on an Indian reservation in Florida. From Florida, they sent him over to Oklahoma. He was never permitted to come back to Arizona Territory, his homeland. And when he died, they buried him at Fort Seals, Oklahoma. That's where he's buried at today. All the old buildings you see on this block, some have been refurbished. They were all saloons. There were saloons all along Elm Street on both sides of the street. In 1881, there was over 18,000 people right here in Tombstone. Today, there's only about 1,800. The most famous person ever wrote on the old Butterfield Estate, his name was Twain. He boarded the coach in St. Louis, and 24 days later, we get off in San Francisco. This is what he actually said. He said, "My God, I know what it's like to be in hell. I just spent 24 days there." That's what he actually said when we get off the coach in San Francisco. It wasn't a very pleasant ride like Hollywood would like you to believe. It was a very lumpy, bumpy, dusty ride all the way to San Francisco. Come on, kids. We get down into the corner, that's going to be South 1st Street. We're going to make a left-hand turn. There's a journey right up to my right up on the corner there. You'll see a brand new building there. It's a reddish colored building. Right there's where Virgil Earp's house was until 1998. Some kids were playing with matches, right down about 20 minutes. And over there in Virgil's house, that's where Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Virgil Earp, and Morgan Earp. They all had dinner there the night before the gunfight. After dinner, they all decided to go uptown, do a little drinking, do a little gambling. So they went up on Allen Street to the Grand Hotel. They met up with the Cowboys. They played cards and drank all night till the next morning. That afternoon at 2:30 in the afternoon was their famous gunfight. In a moment to my right, you're going to see this old house all boarded up. Doc Holliday himself rented a room in the back of that house for a brief period of time when he first came into Tombstone in 1880. You get down to the corner down here on my left, you're going to see a beige house with white trim with a brown fence going all around it. That belonged to a fellow named Texas John Slaughter. He was a famous and feared lawman in Arizona Territory in the 1880s. He was a small man. He stood 5 feet 6 inches tall. And he weighed about 135 pounds. He never brought any of his prisoners back alive. He just shot them dead. They say he was so small he couldn't pick them up and put them on a horse or a wagon and bring them back to town, so he'd just leave them right where he shot them. That's the reason he was the most feared lawman in Arizona Territory. The only thing he'd bring back would be their boots and his 6-gun, show everybody got his man. He became the county sheriff in 1886. If you look out to my left right on the porch there, you'll see those white chairs there. That's the front of John Slaughter's house. And right next to it, you'll see a greenhouse. It says Buffalo Soldiers Barracks on it. That barracks was brought in from Fort Huachuca, come on kids, in 1900. That's where the Buffalo Soldiers stayed when they came into Tombstone in the early 1900s. Before that, they used to camp right outside of town. To my left here, right on the corner, you're going to see a white house with brown trim right amongst all these trees there. That belonged to Dr. Goodfellow. He's the doctor that operated on Virgil's elbow when he got shot in front of the Crystal Palace. He also tried to save Morgan's life on a pool table for gambling at the saloon. Crystal Palace Saloon is the oldest operating saloon today in Tombstone. Most of the thing. Wyatt Earp himself jumped out there for a brief period of time in 1880. And there's still 26 bullet holes in the copper ceiling in the Crystal Palace Saloon. If you want to see the Grizzlies right on the corner of 50 Allen Street, it's a great old saloon. You get down to the corner, there's going to be Old Charleston Road. We'll make a left-hand turn going towards the courthouse. You got to my right, you'll see the old state stop. It's actually the oldest building here in Tombstone. It was built around 1858. At that time, this was called Goose Flats. It wasn't called Tombstone yet. The stagecoach had stopped there, changed its team, and go on to Camp Huachuca, which was about 23 miles from here. They delivered the mail, sometimes even the Army payroll. Soldiers out there, they were here to protect the settlers and the homesteaders coming from back east, from the Indians and the outlaws that roamed through the Southwest at that time. However, the old stage stop was raided by Indians and outlaws on several different occasions. In the 1880s, it was used by the Modoc stage. The Modoc stage was stopped to take the steam and his driver, pick up some passengers and go on to Bisbee, which was about 28 miles from there. Look out right now up on the corner, you're going to see the old train station, the old stage stop. That's the original old stage stop, and it's pretty much the way it was back then. Now I'll tell you a little bit about this old stagecoach. It's called a mud wagon. Some call it a flat bottom coach. The reason it's so high off the ground and got a flat bottom, they made to go through the snow and the mud. These coaches weren't used too much in the Southwest. They were mainly used in the Northwest and back east in the snow country. However, when John Butterfield started the stage line, he needed every stagecoach he can get. He had 1,000 horses, 500 mules, 250 stagecoaches, and about 800 employees. They use a lot of mules here in the Southwest because they go a lot longer without water in the horse can. They don't eat as much, but they're twice as strong as a horse. Sometimes they had as many as 20 mules pulling the ore wagons out of the silver mines. Look out to my right here, you'll see all those little buildings down there. They've all been restored. Those were all miner shacks back in the 1880s. There was miner shacks like that all over Tombstone. That's where the miners lived when they were mining here in Tombstone. In a couple of moments, if you look out to my right again in the mountains out there, you'll see the old trails coming out of the silver mines. That's where they brought the ore wagons down. They brought it over to Charleston, which was about 8 miles from here. That's where all your smelters were along the San Pedro River. If you look at all the mountains out here, you can see all the trails coming out of the silver mines. And there's a lot of open mine shafts out there today. They say the town of Charleston itself was a bloodier town than Tombstone. All the soldiers went there from Fort Huachuca. So the miners and the cowboys. They say they can guarantee at least 3 murders a day over and over Charleston. We get up here to the corner, we're going to make a left-hand turn. Now the turn, we're going to stop briefly. If you look out to my right, you'll see a dirt road there. If you look down that road, you'll see the back of the courthouse, a metal staircase going down. And right next to the courtyard is where the gallows is at. Well, they planted that little tree right there, so you can't see it too good from here. You might be able to see it from back there, right between the red house and the courthouse, right behind that beige wall. But if you don't see it now, we'll see it again in a couple moments when we get around the other side of the courthouse. Come on through. That metal staircase you see there, that was used in case of emergency, and they had to clear out the courtroom, which is on the 2nd floor. Well, the History Channel did a piece on that old gallows. They say a woman was hung there in the 1880s, and her spirit's still roaming around somewhere in the courthouse. It's totally not true. The only woman ever hung in Arizona Territory was hung up in Yuma Prison, in Yuma in 1882. She's the only woman ever hung in Arizona Territory. She was not hung here in Tombstone. Her name was Gold Dollar. She stabbed Margarita to death right over here in the Birdcage Theater. She had an argument with over a boyfriend, and in a jealous rage, she stabbed her several times till she killed her. They brought her up to the federal prison up in Yuma. That's where they tried her, convicted her. Right there's where she met her maker. There was 106 saloons on Allen Street alone. There was also a bunch of saloons right here on Tombstone Street. You get down here to the corner, we're going to stop briefly and make a right-hand turn. And then we'll tell you a little bit about Tombstone Street. If you look out to my right here, you're going to see that black plaque. Right next to it, you'll see the piece of an old telegraph pole. Old John Heath and his cohorts were convicted of the Bisbee Massacre. Well, old John, he routed all his friends out. Come on, kids, step it up. Step it up, buddy. Come on, son. Don't think about it, just do it. An angry mob came from Bisbee. They broke him out of the courthouse jail. They lynched him right on that pole. On February 22nd, 1884. It took old John Heath 23 minutes before he actually died. 2 men ran from that gunfight. One was Billy Claiborne. He ran down Fremont Street. The other one was Ike Clanton. He ran up through the empty lot behind the old cave corral on Allen Street. He came down 3rd Street, walked up Chestnut. Look out to my left in a moment, you'll see a White House there with them. That was a saloon in 1881. Right there is where I found Ike Clanton 30 minutes after the gunfight having a drink. Well, 20 minutes later, White Earth comes along, drags him out of that saloon, and he hauled him off to jail. All the old buildings you see on this block were bungalows, gambling parlors, and saloons back in the 1880s. A couple of them were all 3. In a moment, when I take a look, I'll show you the gallows. Ropes and all. Come on, just step it up. Look out right about now. You'll see the top of the gallows there right in the courtyard. Ropes and all. A lot of men swung there, no women. The courthouse itself was built in 1882 and it was a fine museum. That's one of the museums you want to see right here in Tombstone, folks. The other ones are the Birdcage Theater. That's on 6th and Allen Street. And the one you don't want to miss is the Tombstone Heritage Museum. That's on 6th and Fremont Street. That museum is rated #1 in the Southwest by True West magazine. They have the only known picture of all the cowboys together, including Johnny Ringo and Curly Bill Brooks. Come on, bud. Step it up, son. Come on. Let me throw your socks there. They also have a lot of clothing and guns and artifacts along with the Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Virgil Lake, Morgan. Got a lot of letters from Josephine Marcus, Big Nose Kate. The list goes on and on and on. They got photographs. It's a great museum. They even have a photograph of old John right there, hanging in right on the corner. On my left there, you'll see that adobe building right there. That was built in 1900. That was used as attorney's offices right across the street from the court. They closed that down with the courthouse in 1929 when they moved the county seat to Bisbee. That's where it is today. Come on, buddy. That's the same year that Wyatt Earp passed away. He died January 13th, 1929. He was 82 years old. If you got to my left, you'll see that sign there that says Allen English's home. That adobe house was built in 1882. Allen English was a famous attorney back then. He also said he was a drinking man. If you got to my left, you'll see that beige house with the colored windows in the front. That's where he lived. He also had his law practice in there. Those colored windows you see there, they were brought in from Europe. They put that house, they're still in there today, and there's not even one of them cracked. The original backdrop from the Oriental Saloon was in that house in the living room. So if you want to see the courthouse, I believe that sign. So we get down to the corner there. It's going to be 4th Street. We're going to make a left-hand turn. And if you look out to my right, you're going to see the old train station. The old train station was built in 1903. The last train pulled out of there going to Tucson in 1961. Right next to it is the Good Enough Mine. The Good Enough Mine was founded by Ed Shefflin. That's the only mine tour we have here in Tombstone. And they do a tour every hour on the hour. So if you want to see that mine tour, just tell them the old Butterfield Estate sent you there. And there will be a little discount on your tickets. Come on, just step it up. Back up, please. Nice and easy, son. If you look up to my right, you'll see the old train station. Today is the Tombstone Library. All the way down the end of the street down there. There's a white building down there with red trim and a bell and a flag on it. That's the old firehouse. All the way down the end of the street there, you're going to see the old firehouse. Wyatt Earp himself was a member of the old volunteer fire department right here in Tombstone. To my right here, you're going to see the Rose Tree Museum. The Rose Tree Museum has the largest rose bush in the world. And I got to tell you folks, it's the largest rose bush in the world. They also have a museum in there that shows you a lot of artifacts and furnishings and such that the settlers and the homesteaders brought from back east when they came out to Arizona Territory in the 1880s. Come on, Chris. Look out to my right here, you'll see the big iron shooting gallery. You can go right in there and shoot those old single-action pistols, just like I did in the Old West. If you get down to the corner on my left, you're going to see a light green building with dark green trim. That was the First National Bank of Cochise County. Today it's the Visitor Center, and it also houses the Chamber of Commerce. In the early 1900s, there was a hospital. Tombstone had its very own hospital in the early 1900s. If we get down to the corner here, we're going to stop this. We're going to make a left-hand turn. And as a turn, if you look out to my left, my right, rather, I'm sorry, you'll see a building there that says Arlene's on it. I'll tell you about that in a bit. Come on, kids. Come on, Bonnie. Step it up, son. That boy. As you're turning here, if you look out on the corner, you'll see Arlene's. That was a liquor store and a saloon back in 1881. Come on, kids. If you look out to my right, up on the corner there, you'll see Arlene's. Right on that corner, right there, is where Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Virgil Lake, Morgan are. They all met there that day of the gunfight. They walked down 4th Street, turned up Fremont Street, stopped in front of the empty lot behind the old Cade Corral. That's where the gunfight happened, right there in the street. Look up the street there, you'll see that big building down there. It says Shefflin Hall on it. That is the largest adobe structure in the United States. It was built in 1881, and it was a theater. Right across the street, you'll see the Shady Lady. Right next to it is an empty lot, a wooden building. Right there is where the famous Cosmopolitan Hotel was. That's where they held Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Virgil Morgan under house arrest. 2 blocks down on the right is the Birdcage Theater. 2 blocks down and to the left, and 1 block over on Fremont Street is the world famous Tombstone Heritage Museum. That's the one you want to see right here in Tombstone, folks. It's a great museum. To my right here, right on the corner, you're going to see the old-time photos. That was the famous Can restaurant. It was owned and operated by a fellow named Paul Key. Dirks and Holliday ate there frequently, so did the Alphonse. before he died, he requested to be buried right next to China Mary. Buried that today. Alright, you'll see the Historama. The Historama tells you all about the history of Tombstone mining and such, and it's narrated by the late Vincent Price. Right next to it is the old gate correct. Thank you very much, folks, for riding the old Butterfield Stage. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Enjoy the rest of your day here in Tombstone. If you're going home this evening, please get home safe. Watch your head, just step in the coach. If you're going home this evening, please get home safely. Thank you, folks. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Was that a good tour, guys?
It was.
Are you glad it was narrated?
Yeah. I'm glad so.
Yeah, that's. I don't mind getting out, but he wasn't.
Tombstone, Arizona. We're going to have a couple words with Chris about the tour we just took on the stage.